Good day. My name's Graham, thick Yorkshireman, living down under in Australia and eating the occasional fly. There's a great song when it goes that Britain never never shall be slaves, and yet here we are in the 21st century and Britain is now slaves to an undemocratic despotic gang within the EU that are reconstituted far right and reconstituted Soviet Marxists that have got together after years of planning that happened in the 50s and 60s, that they learnt and then honed their skills and using media and parliamentary democracy itself to infiltrate opposing parties for the purpose of bringing down Britain as an independent and free-spirited nation, and to bring down parliamentary democracy as a means to asserting the will of the people. If the will of the people is a majority, and the majority voted for Brexit, therefore there is no parliamentary representation of the people at the moment on all of those that are against the free process of allowing Britain to be free from the EU, and that goes for all the people in the British Parliament, in the bureaucracy or the corporations, and in the EU itself. There's something about the whole of the thing what actually stinks. Jeremy Corbyn, and he's not the only one, but the Liberals in America and the left basically in Australia and in Britain, these people are not, as it were, socialists. They use the word equality and they use all these, so what is generally termed as Marxist socialism or Marxist engineering or whatever you call it, equality, whatever you want to call it. I'm not familiar with the terms used, but what it is, these people are wholly owned by far right, by the right Nazis and the far left, what it is, a Marxism, that are together, working together. They've got together, there's a marriage between Nazism and Marxism. It's no longer called it that anymore, they call it itself the EU, European Union, and they're living there unelected. You can't vote for them, and apparently you can't argue with them. Those you can't vote for and you can't argue with are dictators by any of the means. It doesn't matter how benign these people are, it's only a matter of time before, and they're showing with Britain, there's nothing benign about them at all. It's extremely troubling. The thing about the left have been infiltrated by the far right, which have then infiltrated and used most of the media in the world to then destroy the idea of wealth distribution itself to being the distribution of inequality, a social equality amongst different classes of people and different cultures of people, which is all well and good. It's a nice dream of someone like George Soros, but it's extremely infantile and immature in itself, and it shows without any doubt the people behind this do not understand the nature of humanity and its tribal nature itself. The tribal nature of humanity itself makes it difficult because of due to customs and cultures for people to intermingle so freely as some of these daydreamers would prefer. You cannot force people to integrate. So there is no socialist party. The left trades on the idea that it is a socialist system, or they're socialist-based parties. They are not. They are not. They're all about distributing wealth from the poor up to the wealthy, using the stealth of various means to do so. They're not there to benefit the poor people. There is nothing creative whatsoever in the last 20 years or so that has given any indication whatsoever that the left understand the original context and pretext these parties were built on, which was to create the capital from production that could then be distributed. By raising the price of power and energy alone, and by raising the cost of houses, therefore you could say the right and left have worked together in a pincer movement against the very chance to distribute wealth through the nations and through to the poor people. In fact, and as you bring in more and more non-productive immigrants to these countries, that is less to distribute other than what can be borrowed from the financiers of the world, which is what the left are all about, creating a massive amount of debt, flooding the West with non-productive people, just at a time we are on an event horizon where AI and robots will remove the need for so much employment. It's a travesty brought about by people who are plotting to destroy the Western democracy and Christianity for an awful long time, and now their plans are coming into fruition, but also because people are waking up to what these demons really are. The demons really are dictators using media and propaganda and the education system to make people, to dumb people down so they do not understand the context of what's been spoken. And they've got no real understanding of the history of Marxism or the history of Adam Smith, and now the ability to distribute wealth came about properly through the parliamentary democracy, and how that's been eroded over the last 20-30 years through very nefarious, very craftily created means using PC, which is a program codex, which is then a recessive congenital system, what means that people become less and less able to question the authority, therefore creating a massive permanent divide, if you like, between the elite and the rest of the people. And that's why the elite are now got all the power in places to become much more wealthier and wealthier and wealthier, so therefore there's less and less and less to distribute to the growing hordes of less wealthy. So there needs to be a total shift in thinking within politics in the West itself to basically reset the pendulum, if you like, so it's more in a balanced system, and cut back on non-productive immigration should be cut to the core as soon as possible to stop a total, in the end, breakdown of Western society through overcrowding at a time when there's going to be less and less income because of the higher and higher cost of power and energy, due to the fact that the elite are into taxing energy, the cheap forms of energy. They're into taxing, which is a tax on production, which is then a tax on the poor people who can afford at least, and all that money then is distributed to the wealthy people. In other words, these people in the EU and all these UN and all those people don't give a damn about wealth distribution unless it's to themselves. End of story. Then they control the masses by keeping them impoverished and ignorant. That is the game of these people. Neo-Nazis, the far left, the left, work for the neo-Nazis and Marxists have got together, and that's the bottom line here. Jeremy Corbyn works for the far right, even though he pretends, same as all the liberals in America, work for the far right, regardless what else they pretend. They work, the left works for the far right, and Theresa May, she's, as far as I'm concerned, traitor to democracy. I hate to say this to the lady, but if you don't pass what the people demanded through their vote, and you stand against the people, they should resign. Bye.